Yuri Totrov, he's very interesting for many reasons. One of the reasons is he epitomizes the strength of counterintelligence against foreign intelligence. He was foreign counterintelligence, a whole section built up strongly from the late 1950s. And he devised an intricate system based on common sense, which is always dangerous for somebody working in government, to have common sense assumptions about things. And his assumption was that instead of making guesses, as was the practice of the residents of foreign intelligence in Soviet embassies abroad, making guesses as to who from the American embassy was CIA, who might be FBI, who might be drug enforcement, whatever, you could actually systematize the means by which you could work this out. He served first of all in Bangkok and Thailand, which was full of American intelligence people in the late 50s because of problems emerging in neighboring Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos. He was also partly Oriental in background. And most of his career was in Japan. He was mainly a Japanologist, but his eyes were on the Americans and presumably also the Brits, but this isn't openly mentioned. And he rigged up a system of identifying, he sought out every conceivable way of working out who was a CIA man in an embassy. And it took him about the best part of 10 years, and by the mid-70s, they had telephone books of names of American agents, CIA officers as well as agents. And colleagues of mine who once worked in CIA were, at sixes and sevens because they'd send somebody to some capital in Africa and all of a sudden their car would have a ghastly accident and they'd have to be pulled out. Or one of their men in Lebanon would recruit somebody and within a day that person had disappeared. So they assumed naturally there must be some sort of mole operating within CIA. There were later, but that was under Gorbachev. But there must be some mole giving away these secrets. And not really until the end of the Cold War did they work out that that actually wasn't the case, that it was being worked out intellectually from a back room rather than through spies and other means. So the West was very vulnerable to assuming that the Russians weren't as good as they were at using their brains. But actually the Russians were just as good and sometimes better. Because the West was better in technology or ahead in technology, the Russians had to make more use of their own mental effort.